Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt something was off, but you couldn't quite explain it? Like the smile didn't match the eyes. Like the words were right, but your soul kept whispering, something's wrong. That feeling, that's not paranoia. That's discernment. That's the gift life gives you after you've been betrayed enough, disappointed enough, and left standing alone with your heart in pieces. You see, one of the most dangerous signs in a person isn't loud, it's quiet. It's not what they say when the lights are on. It's what they do when nobody's watching. It's the calmness they have when they cause chaos. It's the way they laugh while your world burns. The truth is, not everyone who stands beside you is with you. And the most dangerous people are the ones who wear kindness like a costume. They'll compliment you with one breath and curse you with the next. Stay alert. Because the people who smile at your face while secretly praying for your downfall, they don't come with warning signs. They come with charm. And charm without character, that's a weapon in disguise. You ever meet someone who says all the right things, but something in your gut says don't trust it? The world teaches us to listen with our ears, but life, real life, teaches us to listen with our spirit. Because words are cheap. Words are tools. Words can be rehearsed, crafted, even weaponized. People can say, I love you, while they're plotting your downfall. They can say, I'm here for you, and vanish the moment you need them. Their mouth tells one story, but their behavior writes a different book entirely. And if you're not paying attention, you'll get caught in the story they wrote for you instead of walking into the truth. Don't fall for promises anymore. Promises without follow-through are poison wrapped in hope. Someone telling you they'll change means nothing if they keep showing you the same disrespect. And when someone shows you over and over again that their actions don't line up with their speech, it's not a mistake, it's their nature. You keep giving them chances thinking it's compassion, but they see it as weakness. The world is full of smooth talkers, but you got to be strong enough to see who walks their truth and who only talks it. It's the difference between intention and integrity. Anyone can intend to love you, right? Anyone can intend to be there when you fall. But integrity? Integrity shows up when it's inconvenient. It sacrifices. It holds itself accountable. It doesn't just say, I'll be there. It actually shows up even when the room is uncomfortable, even when they have nothing to gain. People will look you in the eye and swear they've changed, swear they've grown, swear they finally see your worth. But watch how fast they shrink when life demands their truth. Their actions always tell on them. They'll preach about loyalty but disappear when your name's not popular anymore. They'll scream about how much they care and then choose everything but you. It's not enough to say the words. You gotta be the words. When someone says you matter to me, then forgets your birthday, forgets your tears, forgets your peace. That ain't love, that's performance. It's manipulation. And you don't need more performers in your life, you need warriors of truth. You need people whose love has calluses, whose friendship has scars, who choose you in private and not just in public. Talk is wind, but consistency, that's proof. Some people will tell you what you want to hear just so they can keep taking from you. They'll dress up their lies and compliments and disguise their selfishness as affection. It's hard to see at first because they know how to mirror what you need. If you're hurting, they'll act like a healer. If you're lonely, they'll mimic closeness. But it's not real connection, it's strategic comfort. They study you so they can control you. And when someone is committed to the act, it's almost impossible to tell who they really are until you stop giving. That's when the mask slips. That's when their truth shows. The moment you stop pouring into them, their warmth turns cold. Their concern disappears. Their respect crumbles. That's how you know it was never about love. It was about what they could get. People like that don't want to love you. They want to own your peace. And when you try to hold them accountable, they say you're overreacting or you're too sensitive. But listen to me. Your instincts are not lying. If their words always sound sweet, but their actions leave you bitter, that's not love. That's poison. And poison with a smile is still deadly. When someone really values you, you don't have to keep reminding them how to treat you. You don't have to beg for decency. You don't have to plead for effort. But when you're with someone whose actions don't match their words, everything becomes a negotiation. You ask for the bare minimum: honesty, attention, empathy. and they act like you're asking for the world. They'll apologize with flowers, but keep handing you the same disrespect. They'll write you long messages filled with promises only to break them the next day. And somehow, they always have an excuse. It's the job, the stress, the timing, but real love doesn't hide behind excuses. Real character shows up when it's hard. If someone can only be kind when it's easy, what does that say about their heart? It's not the apology that heals. It's the change that follows. And if change never shows up, the apology becomes manipulation. You don't need people who say, "I love you," as punctuation to pain. You need people whose consistency makes you feel safe, whose patterns bring you peace. Because someone who truly sees your worth would never play hide and seek with their love. And sometimes the most dangerous ones are the ones who cry with you, pray with you, and still betray you. They've mastered the role so well that even when they hurt you, they make you feel like it's your fault. They'll say, "You know I'd never hurt you," right after they do. They'll swear they'd never lie right after they gaslight you. It's not the stranger who stabs you. It's the one who knows exactly where your wounds are, and they use those wounds as entry points. People who are good with words know how to twist truth into confusion. They'll write you poetry and ruin your peace. And you stay, not because you're weak, but because you remember the moments they made you feel seen. But here's the truth. Feeling seen for 5 minutes doesn't excuse being disrespected for 5 months. Someone who truly respects you will align their behavior with theirs. They'll protect your heart, not play with it. They'll stand on their word, not run from it. And if they can't do that, let them go. Because a performance can win applause, but it can't build love. It's easy to be blinded by potential. You see who they could be, not who they keep showing you they are. You remember the first few months when they went out of their way to show up, to listen, to love. And now you're stuck clinging to a memory while they feed you excuses. You hope they'll return to who they were. But the truth is that version was only a preview, not the person. Some people are only they chase you until they catch you and then change once they feel secure. They stop proving their worth because they think they've secured your loyalty. And if you confront them, they'll say you've changed. But no, you just started paying attention. You started seeing the pattern. Big words, small actions. Loud declarations, quiet effort. And you realized love without effort is just noise. You're not asking for perfect, you're asking for presence. You're asking for effort, not empty poetry. You want action, not explanations. Don't stay with someone just because they used to try. Stay with someone who never stops trying. Love is not proven by how loud someone speaks. It's proven by how deeply they serve. When someone's actions never match their words, it's like emotional whiplash. One moment they're lifting you up, the next they're tearing you down. They say, "I care about you," but you're always the one initiating, always the one apologizing, always the one fixing what you didn't break. It's not a partnership. It's a power imbalance. And the worst part? You start to question yourself. You think maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe you're too needy. But let me tell you something. You are not too much. You are not wrong for wanting consistency. You are not broken for needing reciprocity. People who gaslight your expectations are just trying to dodge accountability. It's easier for them to blame you than to change themselves. But love that costs your peace is too expensive. Respect that only shows up when they're afraid to lose you is not respect, it's control. Real people don't just say, "I've got you," they prove it when your world falls apart. They don't disappear when you're inconvenient. And if someone only shows up when it benefits them, you're not a priority, you're an option. And you deserve more than being someone's occasional convenience. The tricky thing is, society romanticizes struggle. We're told to ride or die, to stay loyal, to forgive endlessly. But loyalty becomes self-destruction when it's one-sided. If someone keeps hurting you and you keep staying because they love me, then what kind of love is that? Love without accountability is chaos. And chaos disguised as passion is still toxic. Some people say that's just how I am as an excuse not to grow. They use trauma as a shield, their past as a get out of responsibility card. But your past explains you, it doesn't excuse you. You can't keep investing in people who won't invest in their healing. You can't keep forgiving behavior they refuse to change. If someone truly loves you, they'll do the work. They'll show up in therapy, in apologies, in changed behavior. And if they don't, that's not love. That's access. They love having access to your energy, your loyalty, your warmth. But loving access is not the same as loving you. You deserve a love that rises to meet your standards, not one that demands you lower them just to feel seen. Sometimes we ignore the red flags because we're so hungry for connection. We overlook the missed calls, the last-minute cancellations, the dismissive tone. We tell ourselves they're just busy, or they didn't mean it like that. But patterns are louder than apologies, and patterns never lie. If someone constantly tells you they care, but their behavior makes you feel abandoned, believe the behavior. If they say you're important but never prioritize you, believe the lack of effort. Because love doesn't show up only when it's convenient. It doesn't disappear when it's uncomfortable. And it certainly doesn't make you feel alone while you're in the relationship. The hardest pill to swallow is realizing that someone can desire you but still not value you. They can want you in their life but never do the work to keep you. And that's not your fault. It's not your job to fix people who keep breaking you. It's not your responsibility to hold them accountable while they keep wounding your heart. Let their actions speak. Let their patterns testify. And when the truth is loud enough, walk away with your peace intact. They hurt you and then they moved on like nothing happened. No apology, no explanation, not even a moment of silence to sit in the pain they caused. And you're left there drowning in the confusion, wondering if it was all in your head. But let me tell you something straight. People who feel no remorse for hurting you are not strong. They're empty. It takes a hollow soul to look into your eyes, see the wreckage they cause, and walk away with their hands clean. That's not strength, that's avoidance. That's cowardice dressed in pride. You keep searching for an apology that was never coming. You keep hoping for closure from someone who built their comfort on your chaos. But here's the truth. They knew what they were doing. They knew their silence was a weapon. They knew you loved them enough to forgive, but not strong enough yet to walk away. And they used that. Because people who feel no remorse don't change. They don't reflect. They just recycle the same pain into the next connection. And the longer you wait for their remorse, the longer you delay your healing. You can't teach empathy to someone who has replaced their heart with ego. You can't explain pain to someone who only sees their side of the story. When you confront them, they'll twist it. They'll say you're too sensitive. They'll act like they didn't know they hurt you, but deep down they did. They just didn't care enough to stop. They weaponize your kindness. They exploit your loyalty. And when they break you, they don't even blink. You sit there holding the shattered pieces and they keep walking like it's just another Tuesday. That kind of emotional vacancy is dangerous. Because when someone lacks remorse, they also lack boundaries. They'll say the most cutting things, do the most selfish acts, and then expect you to move on without resolution. They don't want to clean the mess. They just don't want to be seen as messy. So they avoid accountability like it's a play. And if you let them, they'll make you believe that your hurt is inconvenient. But listen to me. You have a right to your feelings. You have a right to expect decency. And if they can't even offer remorse, they never deserved your trust in the first place. One of the most painful things you'll ever experience is watching someone walk away from the damage they caused like it never happened. They'll break your trust, shatter your peace, and then go laugh like they didn't just cause a storm in your soul. That's what people without remorse do. They live like they're innocent and expect you to carry the guilt. They expect you to hold the weight of what they did, but that's not your burden. That's theirs. Stop carrying what they won't even acknowledge. You didn't hurt yourself. You didn't abandon yourself. They did that. But if you're not careful, they'll make you believe you're the problem, that somehow your reaction is worse than their behavior. They'll minimize it. They'll downplay it. They'll rewrite the story to make you the villain. But let me be clear. Remorseful people don't rewrite the story. They own it. They don't run from the pain they caused. They stand in it and try to make it right. And if they can't even say, I'm sorry, then stop waiting for them to change. Because someone who can sleep after hurting you is not someone who's capable of loving you right. You gave them the benefit of the doubt. You told yourself they just didn't realize how deeply they hurt you. You waited, you prayed, you gave space, but days turned into weeks and still nothing. No phone call, no text, no genuine remorse, just silence. And that silence spoke volumes. Because silence from someone who hurt you is louder than 1,000 apologies from someone who didn't. It tells you everything you need to know about their character. A person who truly cares about your heart will not rest until they've tried to heal what they broke. But someone who feels no remorse, they rest easy. They laugh loud. They continue living as if nothing happened. And that's the part that hurts most, that they were able to keep moving while you were stuck in place. But you're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because you have a heart. And sometimes people without hearts leave the deepest wounds. But even so, let their indifference be your awakening. You don't need their apology to move forward. You don't need their validation to heal. What you need is the truth. And the truth is, they felt nothing while you felt everything. Remorseless people operate with a dangerous confidence. They believe they can do whatever they want without consequence. They've done it before. They've walked over good people and blamed the ground they stepped on. And when they hurt you, it wasn't new to them, it was routine. Pain is their language, manipulation is their game. And the saddest part, they'll use your own love as evidence against you. They'll say, if I was so bad, why did you stay? They'll weaponize your loyalty. They'll make you feel foolish for trusting them when trust was your gift, not your mistake. But it's time to realize not everyone you love is capable of loving you back. Not everyone who holds your hand knows how to hold your heart. And just because they didn't feel remorse doesn't mean you deserved what they did. Sometimes it's not about you being too emotional. It's about them being emotionally bankrupt. And someone who has nothing inside will always take more than they give. So don't chase closure from someone who lives with closed eyes. Don't wait for empathy from someone who sees your pain as background noise. You deserve someone who flinches when you hurt, not someone who feels nothing at all. You kept thinking they'd wake up one day and feel the weight of what they did. You hoped they'd have a moment of clarity where your tears echoed in their memory and finally moved their heart. But some people don't feel. They numb everything. They avoid guilt like it's fire, and instead of looking inward, they look for the next distraction. And while you're in therapy, journaling, praying, trying to heal, they're out smiling for pictures like nothing happened. That contrast is brutal, but it's also truth. Because remorse leads to change. It leads to humility. It makes people pause. But when someone is unbothered after causing you pain, that's not strength. That's dysfunction. That's emotional immaturity. And no amount of loyalty can fix a person who doesn't see a problem in what they did. So stop breaking yourself to fix someone who felt nothing breaking you. You're not the problem. Your pain is valid. And even if they never acknowledge it, you still have the right to rise. You still have the power to let go. Healing is not waiting for them to say sorry. It's accepting they never will and choosing peace anyway. The hardest realization is accepting that they knew they hurt you and chose to do it anyway. That it wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision. A choice they made with full knowledge of how deeply it would cut. And they did it anyway. That kind of coldness, that doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from entitlement. They believe they were allowed to hurt you. They believe they were justified. And the moment someone feels justified in causing your pain, they'll never feel remorse. Because in their mind, you deserved it. They twist the narrative to protect their ego. They create reasons to excuse their behavior. And while you're left searching for meaning, they're building a false version of events that paints them as the victim. But let me be clear. Remorse is not about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about facing the consequences of your actions. And if someone can't face your tears, your voice, your truth, they never loved you with depth. They only loved your availability. They only valued your silence. And the moment you spoke up, they vanished. That's not love, that's exploitation. You have to stop expecting empathy from someone who was never emotionally present. You were pouring your heart into someone who only saw your value when it benefited them. And when you became inconvenient, when your pain required attention, they disappeared. That's what happens with people who feel no remorse. They exit quietly, or worse, they stay and make you feel guilty for being hurt. They'll say, you're always emotional, or you never let things go. But the truth is, you let too much go for too long. You gave passes, you gave grace, and they kept taking. But healing doesn't come from pretending it didn't happen. It comes from naming it. It comes from seeing their silence for what it is, not confusion, but comfort. They're comfortable because hurting you didn't cost them anything. So you have to decide, are you going to keep waiting for them to feel? Or are you going to feel enough for yourself to let go? Because you deserve peace. You deserve presence. And if they couldn't give you remorse, don't give them access. Let their absence be your teacher, not your tragedy. And don't confuse their return with remorse. Some of them come back, not because they're sorry, but because they miss your benefits. They miss your energy, your validation, your consistency. They don't miss your heart. They miss the control. And when they say, I've changed, look closer. Change without accountability is a costume. If they can't name what they did, if they can't sit in your hurt, if they minimize your wounds, that's not remorse, that's reentry. They want back in, but they don't want to clean up the damage. And the more chances you give, the more entitled they become. Remorseless people don't learn through love, they learn through loss. They only reflect when access is denied. So stop reopening doors that led to destruction. You are not a rehab center for broken people who refuse to change. You are not a stage for repeat performers. You're not their second chance at comfort. You're your own beginning. And if someone can hurt you and then ask you to pretend it never happened, that's not love. That's manipulation. Let them feel what they tried to ignore. Let their absence echo with the remorse they never had the courage to feel. Sometimes the only closure you'll get is accepting that they never cared like you did. And that's not your failure, it's their capacity. Some people are just not capable of seeing beyond themselves. They love when it's easy. They show up when it's convenient. But when your needs require effort, when your pain requires pause, they vanish. And you keep looking for humanity in someone who gave it away a long time ago, but not everyone is built with a conscience. Not everyone has the emotional tools to carry another person's heart. And that's the bitter truth, but it's also your liberation. Because once you stop expecting them to be sorry, you start expecting yourself to be free. You stop waiting for them to heal the wound and start realizing that the wound was never yours to carry in the first place. Their actions were a reflection of them, not you. Their inability to feel remorse is not a reflection of your worth. It's a mirror to their emptiness. And your healing, that starts the moment you decide their silence will no longer hold your voice hostage. Some people don't use silence for peace. They use it to punish. Their silence isn't sacred, it's strategic. It's not the kind that builds bridges. It burns them, brick by brick, one quiet moment at a time. When you speak, they go quiet. When you reach out, they withdraw. When you cry, they go cold. That silence, it ain't calm. It's calculated. It's not the stillness of serenity. It's the storm before destruction. You ever been in a room where someone's silence was louder than words? That's not peace. That's control. You see, silence can be powerful, but in the hands of a manipulator, it becomes a tool, a weapon, a way to make you question your worth. You'll find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, overthinking your every word, replaying every conversation like a broken record. You'll sit in your bed at night wondering, did I say too much? Was I too much? That's what they want. They want you off balance. They want you walking on emotional eggshells while they sit comfortably on their throne of indifference. But listen to me. You don't have to play that game. You were not born to be silenced. You were born to be heard. There are people who say nothing but still speak volumes. Their silence screams disrespect. Their silence roars with manipulation. It's not the kind that gives space, it creates distance. A distance so wide you begin to lose yourself in it, and the more you try to close that gap, the further they push. That's not love. That's not respect. That's not a mature human being trying to solve problems. That's emotional warfare. And if you stay in that environment too long, you begin to internalize the silence as your own shame. But let me remind you, their silence is not your guilt. Their coldness is not your consequence. You are not responsible for someone else's immaturity. Can you ever notice how silent treatment usually shows up when you finally speak your truth? When you stop tolerating nonsense, when you set boundaries? That's not a coincidence. That's retaliation. And silence as retaliation is a form of emotional abuse. It's not just passive, it's aggressive. It's designed to erase your confidence, minimize your presence, and make you chase what should be given freely. Respect and communication. They won't raise their voice, no. They'll raise their absence. They won't argue. They'll vanish. And when they return, they pretend nothing happened. That's the loop. That's the manipulation. Keep you uncertain, keep you hoping, keep you apologizing for breathing. But I came to tell you, you don't have to chase anyone's words. You don't have to beg for clarity. If someone wants to weaponize silence, let them sit in it alone. You can walk away in peace while they drown in their own silence. Understand this, healthy silence is different. Healthy silence says, I need space to think. Unhealthy silence says, you don't matter enough to speak to. One brings restoration, the other brings confusion. One opens the door to communication, the other slams it shut. So ask yourself, what kind of silence are you dealing with? Because once you name it, you can confront it. And once you confront it, you can conquer it. Don't let their silence define your self-worth. Don't let their quiet treatment distort your perception. You are worthy of communication. You are worthy of clarity. You are worthy of emotional safety. And if someone can't give that to you, then their silence is your signal not to chase them, but to choose you. They want you to believe that their silence is peace, but it's really a power play. They want you confused so they can feel in control. But confusion is not connection. Power is not partnership. And silence is not always sacred. Sometimes silence is violence with a velvet glove. You have to be wise enough to discern it, brave enough to confront it, and strong enough to walk away from it. Because the truth is, when someone really loves you, they don't disappear when things get hard. They communicate. They listen. They engage. They don't punish you with their silence. They protect you with their presence. They don't ghost you. They grow with you. And if you ain't getting that, then it's time to let their silence be the last conversation they ever have with you. What matters is not just what people say, but how they stay. Not just what they feel, but what they do with those feelings. So stop romanticizing people who can't even respect your voice. Stop justifying their cold shoulder as just how they are. You deserve more than that. You deserve connection, not confusion. Love, not silence. Presence, not punishment. Their silence is not your failure, it's their fear. Their fear of vulnerability, their fear of accountability, their fear of facing themselves. Don't make it your burden. Don't carry the weight of their emotional immaturity. Let them deal with their silence while you rise in your truth. Let them hold their tongue while you speak your peace. And above all, don't ever let anyone make you feel like you're too much just because they're too little to handle your honesty. They are addicted to power over people, not power with purpose, not leadership with love, but power that controls, suffocates, and manipulates. These people don't want connection. They want submission. They're not interested in understanding you. They want to own you. And they'll dress it up in charm. They'll clothe it in concern. They'll speak with a soft tone. But it's all theater. Behind the smiles, behind the flattery, behind the sweet intentions is one goal: domination. Power for the sake of power. And you feel it deep in your bones. Every time you speak your truth, they twist it. Every time you rise, they find a way to shrink you. And you sit there wondering, why do I feel so small around them? It's not you, it's the cage they built around you. These people are addicted to seeing others kneel, not in reverence, but in exhaustion. They want you tired, confused, and dependent. They operate like puppet masters, tugging emotional strings to watch you dance in fear of losing them. They test your limits just to watch you break. And when you finally fall apart, they act like your savior. But they cause the fall. That's the dangerous game they play. They want to be both the poison and the antidote. That's how they maintain control. Keep you just hurt enough to stay, just scared enough to obey. That's not love. That's addiction to power. And if you stay too long, you'll start to mistake oppression for loyalty. They thrive on control. Control over your emotions, control over your decisions, control over your confidence. And the moment you begin to heal, the moment you start to reclaim your voice, they panic. Not because they love you, but because they're losing their grip. They can't stand to see you whole, because a whole person can't be manipulated. A healed heart can't be dominated. So they'll do whatever they can to bring you back to that place of confusion, of doubt, of self-abandonment. They'll gaslight you into believing you're the problem. They'll isolate you from support. They'll guilt trip you into silence. And if you let them, they will build an empire of fear inside your soul. You know someone is addicted to power when they can't celebrate your strength, when your independence threatens them, when your confidence makes them shrink back in resentment. They won't say it out loud, but every time you stand tall, they scheme to cut you down. It's not that you've changed, it's that you're no longer controllable. And that scares them more than anything, because when a person who was once under their thumb begins to rise, they feel powerless. And that's what they fear most, not losing love, but losing control. These people often come wrapped in positions of authority: parents, bosses, partners, preachers, friends. But the title doesn't make the abuse any less real. You have to stop giving people a pass because of their position. Power unchecked is power abused. And just because they provide, protect, or preach doesn't mean they're pure. Some people hide behind good deeds while doing bad things. You have to learn to separate the performance from the pattern, because the pattern always reveals the truth. And if that pattern is rooted in control, domination, and fear, you're not in a relationship, you're in a prison. You ever notice how they only love you when you're weak? When you're quiet, when you're dependent? That's not love, that's leverage. They need you to need them so they can feel significant. They'll never teach you to walk, they'll carry you so they can say you couldn't make it without them. They'll never encourage your growth, they'll stunt it so they remain the tallest in the room. That's not partnership, that's possession. And the only way to break free is to stop confusing their control for care. Sometimes the person who hugs you the hardest is the one choking you emotionally. A person addicted to power will never see you as a partner, only as a pawn. Your dreams are a threat, your joy is suspicious, your strength is offensive. And so they go to war, not with weapons, but with silence, sarcasm, guilt, and gaslighting. They don't raise fists, they raise doubts. Doubts about your identity, your value, your worth. They want to be the loudest voice in your life, not to lift you, but to shape you into what they want you to be. You become a mirror reflecting only their desires, never your own. And if you try to change the reflection, they shatter you with accusations of betrayal. But let me tell you something powerful. People who are truly secure don't need to control others. Real strength liberates, it uplifts, it empowers, it doesn't manipulate. So when someone fights you every time you evolve, when they resist every step you take toward freedom, it's because they were never committed to your wholeness, only to your obedience. They don't love the real you. They love the version they can rule. And if you have to shrink to be loved, that ain't love. That's slavery. Emotional slavery. You're not here to be dominated. You're not here to be a pet project for someone else's insecurity. You're not here to be small so someone else can feel big. You were made to soar. You were made to lead. You were made to stand in your truth, even if it threatens their illusion. And the moment you realize that, you'll stop begging for crumbs from people who feast off your weakness. You'll rise. And when you rise, they'll either change or they'll leave. Either way, you win. They'll call you rebellious, difficult, disrespectful. That's what happens when you stop allowing yourself to be controlled. They'll label your freedom as a threat, but that's because they built their identity around controlling you. And the moment you walk away, you force them to face the emptiness within themselves. And most people can't handle that. But that's not your burden to carry. You are not responsible for someone else's addiction to power. You are only responsible for protecting your peace. Here's the truth. People who love you don't need power over you. They're not interested in being over you. They want to walk beside you. They don't need to dominate to feel worthy. They are secure enough to let you shine. So don't settle for anything less, because when someone's addicted to power, they'll drain your energy, distort your reality, and call it love. But love doesn't imprison. Love frees. Love heals. Love empowers. Anything else is just control, dressed in kindness. They pretend to support you until you succeed. They clap for you when you're still crawling, but the moment you start to walk, their applause turns into silence. When you're struggling, when you're unsure, when you're still reaching for the light, They're all in your corner, smiling, nodding, pretending. But the moment your light gets too bright, their faces start to fade. Because it was never really about supporting you, it was about feeling superior to you. Your struggle kept them comfortable. Your doubt fed their ego. But your success, that terrifies them. It exposes what they've been hiding. The fact that they never wanted to see you fly higher than them. These people don't mind your dreams as long as they stay dreams. They'll say go for it, but deep down they're praying you don't. They'll encourage you, but only up to the point where you don't outgrow them. The moment you start achieving what they only talk about, you become a mirror. A mirror that reflects every excuse they ever made, every chance they never took. And that kind of reflection hurts. So instead of celebrating you, they criticize. Instead of supporting you, they distance themselves. And if you're not careful, their silence will make you question your own worth. But don't fall for it. Don't shrink to make them feel tall. Understand this, not everyone cheering for you is cheering for your victory. Some are cheering because they think you'll fail. And failure keeps them feeling superior, gives them something to gossip about, to feel better about their own stagnation. These people don't want a front row seat to your greatness. They want a backstage pass to your breakdown. And when that breakdown doesn't come, when you rise instead of fall, they don't know what to do with you anymore. You've outgrown the box they tried to keep you in. And now you make them uncomfortable. Not because you changed, but because they never evolved. Some people only love you when you're beneath them, when you're struggling, when you're dependent. Because your weakness affirms their identity. The moment you become independent, the moment you start thriving without their validation, they feel threatened. Not because you harmed them, but because your elevation reminded them of everything they refused to do. You became living proof that their excuses are just that. Excuses. And that kind of truth burns. It burns so deep they'll turn their backs. Not because you wronged them, but because your growth disrupted their comfort zone. They'll act confused. They'll say, you've changed. No, you grew, you leveled up. You broke cycles they were content living in. And when people are committed to staying small, they resent those who choose to grow. You didn't change, you healed. You didn't betray them, you chose yourself. And that's something they never had the courage to do. So they'll twist your journey, make you look arrogant, call your confidence pride, label your boundaries as cold. But what they're really saying is, you're no longer easy to control. That's what they miss. Not you, but the powerless version of you. You need to recognize the difference between real supporters and undercover doubters. Real ones clap when you win, even if they're still waiting on their victory. Real ones don't get quiet when your name is called. Real ones show up not just in your storms, but in your sunshine. But fake ones, they smile through gritted teeth. They disappear when the light shines on you, because deep down they never believed you could do it. Your success proves their doubt wrong. And pride won't let them admit that. It hurts, doesn't it? Realizing some of the people you love the most were only there for the version of you that needed saving. But growth has a way of exposing hearts. Success doesn't change you, it reveals them. And if someone leaves when you win, they were never with you when you lost. They were just watching, waiting, and hoping you'd stay in the pit so they could feel taller. That's not love, that's ego. And ego has no place in your destiny. Sometimes the biggest betrayal isn't someone turning against you, it's someone pretending to be with you while secretly rooting against you. That hidden jealousy, that silent resentment, that masked bitterness, it all comes to light when you succeed. And that's okay. Let the truth surface. Because anyone who leaves you for growing was never loyal to your becoming. They were loyal to your comfort zone. And your purpose is far too big to stand in spaces that shrink your soul. You don't owe anyone your smallness. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't have to downplay your brilliance to make someone else feel okay about their fear. You worked for this, you bled for this, you prayed for this, and if your light makes someone uncomfortable, let them find shade. You don't owe apologies for winning, you owe yourself permission to keep going, unapologetically. Here's the truth. The people who are truly for you will never leave when you rise. They'll rise with you. They'll cheer louder. They'll hold you accountable. They'll protect your name in rooms you're not even in. That's real support. That's real love. Don't waste another minute grieving over those who walked away. Their exit was the blessing, because now your table has room for the ones who actually want to eat with you, not just watch your plate from a distance. They twist your kindness into obligation. You see, kindness isn't just something you do, it's who you are. It's the part of you that wants to help, to heal, to lift others up. But some people, they don't see your kindness for what it truly is. They see it as a tool to use, manipulate, and exploit. They don't feel grateful for the help you offer. They feel entitled to it. Every act of kindness becomes a debt in their eyes, a favor they expect to be repaid. And the more you give, the more they take. The more you give, the more they believe they have the right to demand. And you just want to help. You want to make things easier for those you love. But what starts as a gift becomes a chain around your neck. They twist your kindness into obligation when they stop seeing your heart and start seeing your actions as duties. What was once a choice, a decision to give from your heart, becomes an expectation. Suddenly, they don't appreciate your presence. They don't value your time. They don't even care about your well-being. They care about what you can do for them. They care about what they can take from you. And if you ever dare to stop giving, they turn on you. They'll guilt you, shame you, make you feel selfish, make you feel small. They don't care about the effort it took for you to offer what you did. All they care about is that you gave, and now, in their eyes, you owe them. But you don't. And it eats away at you, slowly, quietly. You begin to feel exhausted. You begin to feel drained. But you don't want to say no. You don't want to disappoint them, and so you give and give and give until there's nothing left of you to give. You start to wonder if they truly care about you or if they just care about what they can take from you. You start to question if they ever truly saw you as a person or just a resource to be exploited. They twist your kindness into obligation by making you believe that your love, your time, your energy are not gifts, they are dues. You're not giving from your heart anymore. You're giving because you feel like you have no other choice. You see, kindness is supposed to be a free choice. It's supposed to come from a place of love and compassion, not duty. But when someone twists your kindness into obligation, they rob you of the freedom to choose. They make you feel trapped. They make you feel like there's no way out. You begin to feel like every act of kindness is a transaction, a deal with strings attached, and that's not kindness. That's manipulation. That's control. And that's how they wear you down. They don't care about your happiness. They don't care about your peace. They only care about how much you can do for them. And if you stop, they'll make sure you feel guilty for it. They'll turn your compassion into a burden. They'll take your love and turn it into a weapon. But here's the thing you need to understand. You don't owe anyone your kindness. You don't owe anyone your time. You don't owe anyone your energy. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to protect your peace. And if they can't respect that, if they can't accept that your kindness is not a transaction, then they don't deserve you. They don't deserve your time. They don't deserve your love. They don't deserve your heart. You are not a bank account for their emotional withdrawals. You are a person deserving of the same love and respect you give others. And if they can't see that, if they can't appreciate your kindness for what it is, then it's time to walk away. When people twist your kindness into obligation, they stop seeing you as a person. They stop seeing you as someone with feelings, with needs, with a life outside of their demands. They see you as an instrument to fulfill their desires. And that is not love. That is not friendship. That is not a relationship. It's exploitation. And you deserve better than that. You deserve people who see you as you are. People who appreciate your kindness, but also understand that it's not endless. People who give back, who support you when you need it, who recognize that you are not here to serve them. You are here to walk beside them. It's hard, I know. It's hard to pull back. It's hard to say no when you've always said yes. It's hard to set boundaries when you've always given freely. But the moment you realize that your kindness is a gift, not a duty, is the moment you begin to take your power back. You start to see that your value is not in how much you can give, but in who you are. And who you are is enough. You are enough. And if someone can't appreciate you for who you are without expecting something in return, then it's time to let them go. You don't owe them anything. You owe it to yourself to protect your peace, to protect your energy, to protect your heart. You see, kindness should be a two-way street. It should flow both ways. It should never feel like a one-sided burden. But when people twist your kindness into obligation, they make it feel like you owe them something for simply being kind. They make you feel like you're indebted to them because you gave. And that's not right. That's not love. That's not respect. That's manipulation. And you don't have to tolerate it. You don't have to accept it. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to take care of your own heart first. So remember, kindness is not an obligation. Kindness is a choice. And you are allowed to choose where you give it. You are allowed to choose who you give it to. And you are allowed to take it back when it's being used against you. You deserve kindness that is free, that is genuine, that is mutual. And anyone who twists your kindness into obligation doesn't deserve the gift of your love. You are worthy of kindness that respects your boundaries, that values your worth, and that honors your heart. Anything less is not worth your energy. So protect your kindness, protect your peace, and never forget, you are enough just as you are. In a world where kindness is often misunderstood and manipulated, we find ourselves in situations where our genuine efforts to help are twisted into something far darker. We start out giving from a place of love, from a desire to uplift and support those around us. However, when those same acts of kindness are turned into expectations, obligations, and tools for manipulation, we lose our sense of freedom. The very essence of kindness, which should be a liberating and empowering force, becomes a burden. It's a burden not just on our time and energy, but on our hearts as well. The moment someone starts seeing your kindness as a debt to be repaid rather than a gift freely given, they've crossed the line. They stop seeing you as a person with your own needs, desires, and limits, and instead they see you as a resource, something they can use and deplete. The pain of realizing that your kindness has been twisted into an obligation is one that many of us experience at some point in our lives. It's the heart-wrenching moment when you realize that the very people you've poured your soul into are not truly there for you. Instead, they are there for what you can do for them. Their love, if it was ever love to begin with, was conditional. It was based on what you could offer, what you could provide. And the moment you stop giving, the moment you set boundaries, they turn away. It hurts, it stings, but it's also a blessing in disguise. Because this realization allows you to see the truth. It opens your eyes to the fact that not everyone who claims to support you is truly standing by you. Some are simply waiting to take, and they'll take as much as you're willing to give. The more you give, the more they take. But here's the thing. You don't owe them anything. You never did. Your kindness is not an obligation. It is a choice. And you have the right to decide where and how you give it. As difficult as it may be, it's time to let go of the notion that your kindness is something others have a right to. Your love, your support, your energy, they are gifts, not transactions. You are not indebted to anyone for simply being kind. You are not required to continue giving when it is no longer serving you. It is not selfish to take a step back. It is not wrong to protect your peace. And it is certainly not weakness to set boundaries with those who seek to drain you. You owe it to yourself to preserve your heart, to nurture your own well-being, and to make space for relationships that honor and appreciate you for who you truly are, not for what you can do for them. The key lies in recognizing that true kindness is mutual. It is not one-sided. It is not based on manipulation or obligation. True kindness is given freely without expectation of anything in return, and when it is reciprocated, it strengthens the bond between you and those who value you. But when someone twists your kindness into an obligation, they have no place in your life. They do not respect you. They do not value you, and it is time to let them go. It may not be easy, but it is necessary. It is necessary for your growth, your peace, and your happiness. You deserve to be surrounded by people who love you, not for what you can do for them, but for who you are. People who respect your boundaries, who appreciate your kindness, and who are willing to give back in return. So, take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Are you giving freely, or are you giving because you feel obligated? Are you being appreciated, or are you being taken advantage of? Remember that your kindness is a gift, not a burden. And you have the power to choose where you give it. Do not let anyone twist your generosity into something it was never meant to be. Protect your heart, protect your peace, and never forget that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness, not because of what you can give, but because of who you are. Thank you for listening. May you always remember your worth, and may you never settle for anything less than the love and respect you deserve. God bless you.